talk to Councillor Timothy Huxtable, Shadow Cabinet Member for Highways and the Environment at Birmingham City Council, because believe it or not, today marks the 12th week of this strike that's going on in that part of the world. Timothy, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm all right. How are things up there? I can't believe this strike is still going on.
Unfortunately, I can, and instead of putting on a war footing, Mike, perhaps we should be declaring war on the rats in Birmingham. You know, the rats that
Well,
are...
that's not a bad idea. How big are they now?
No, they're still as big as cats, and one very nicely ran right in front of me just over the last weekend. I was out in a ward delivering leaflets campaigning, and one just ran right out in front of me, and not surprising given there was a lot of rubbish left out on the streets that day.
Was some of that rubbish some of your leaflets? Hopefully not. People chucking about the windows. No, I'm only joking. So, I mean, again, every time we talk about this, it's certain parts of the city that are bad, but not other parts. So is that still the case?
That's very much the case. And there's a lot of miscollections from residential flats and apartments and elderly people's complexes, which have a different waste system, but are nonetheless residential.
Yes. So, I mean, I suppose my point would be, so in the places where rubbish wasn't being collected 3 or 4 weeks ago, it's still not being collected?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And what's the latest position with the council and the union then?
Well, negotiations are still ongoing.
But what is there to negotiate anymore?
Well, that's what we're wondering. But at the same time, we're getting a policing the depots, and that's cost the taxpayers almost £1 million to date since the bin strike started.
Is this to stop the picket line from preventing lorries going in and out?
Yes, and everyone has the right to protest. But at the same token, everyone who wants to work has a right to work, to be able to get to work, and to do so without harassment and peaceably. Yeah,
sure. And how are these bin workers still able to work or still able to strike without pay? Because presumably they're not being paid. What are they doing for money?
Well, I believe the unions are actually supporting them as they do during most strike actions.
Yeah, but that's a long strike action, isn't it? 12 weeks.
It is. You have to ask the unions how much they're paying as a supplement those workers that are striking. But the big point for me is that Birmingham residents, my constituents, are paying more and more in council tax. We had one of the biggest council tax rises in April across the country, 7.49%, and we're getting fewer and fewer services because apart from not having a regular household waste collection, for the last 3 months, there have been no recycling collections in Birmingham. There's been no garden green waste collections in Birmingham. There's been no bulk waste collections in Birmingham. So we're paying more and more to Birmingham City Council for getting fewer and fewer services back.
And what would you say is the main sticking point still? Is it the working hours or the amount of money? What is it?
It's paying conditions. And as you said, the negotiations going back and forward, but don't seem to be getting anywhere, even with the involvement of ACAS.
Yeah, it's absolute shambles, ridiculous. So you can't tell me if there's any end in sight, really, by the sounds of it.
I'm afraid not. But the situation just isn't getting any better in terms of a resolution. And my residents across Birmingham who I speak to, are just fed up, sick and tired. They just want to go back to regular recycling and waste collections that everyone else across the country just would expect to happen every week or every fortnight.
Well, you would think it wouldn't be difficult, wouldn't you? But it does seem to be sort of intractable for some reason. Councillor Timothy Huxtable, thank you very much indeed. Shadow Cabinet Member for Highways and the Environment at Birmingham City Council.